Thank you, Presiding Officer. Today, the SNP have once again chosen to put independence above all the urgent matters that this Parliament should focus on. I'm receiving emails from constituents who are worried about their children's education, safety in the streets, and they are extremely worried about the current state of the NHS. There are much more pressing issues to be debated, like Scotland's health service, which is at breaking point. Thousands of people can't get in to see a GP. They can't get screened for major illnesses. They can't get an ambulance. They're waiting hours at A&E departments. They can't get cancer treatment on time. The crisis is overwhelming our NHS. It is risking people's lives every day. I was contacted by a constituent whose 80-year-old uncle fell on New Year's Eve. She suspected that he had broken his shoulder. She called 999 at 9 p.m. She called again at 9:55 p.m, 11:21 p.m, 2:30 a.m, 4:34 a.m, 6:30 a.m, and 8:14 a.m. 7 times she had to phone 999 while her 80-year-old uncle lay there in agony, stuck on a cold conservatory floor. It certainly wasn't a happy New Year. 12.5 hours after the first call, an ambulance finally arrived. My constituent said the ambulance crews were brilliant, but we are disgusted at what her uncle has been put through. On reaching the hospital, her uncle was found to have broken his neck and shoulder in 2 places. Presiding Officer, this is happening all over Scotland. Frontline workers are doing their best. They're going to huge efforts to keep people safe. They're focused on doing their jobs for our benefit. Because if you're a nurse, you don't get to ignore a patient and do what you want. If you're a firefighter, you don't get to ignore a burning building and do something else. And if you're a police officer, you don't get to ignore a crime because you've got other priorities. But if you're an SNP politician, apparently there's no need to focus on the day job. Today, they are ignoring their duty to the public. They are ignoring the people's priorities. They are talking about another referendum instead of focusing on what really matters. Today, SNP members are showing how out of touch they are with the real world. They've become detached from reality. They have crisis after crisis to tackle and umpteen problems that need sorting. I'll take an intervention if somebody wants to explain to my constituent why we're focusing on independence and why we're not focusing on the NHS. Absolutely. So you're going to answer that question?
Alistair Allen.
Well, I thank the member. Are you giving way? I thank the member for giving way. She's asking why we're talking about independence. Well, I merely ask her if she. I merely ask her. I merely put to her that her former leader, Ruth Davidson, said, if the Greens and the SNP and any of the other parties who have declared an interest in independence get over the line and can make a coalition or make a majority, get the votes in the Parliament, then they'll vote through a referendum, and that's what democracy is all about. Does she agree?
Sharon Dowey.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. So the member could not tell my constituent why we're standing here talking about independence instead of talking about the NHS. And I take my lead from the Cabinet Secretary because that's what he done in his interventions. From the umpteen problems that need sorted, from the ferry scandal
Dowey,
to the drug...
Can I ask you to resume your seat? Point of order, Fiona Hislop.
I'm having great difficulty listening to Sharon Dowey because of the member to my left, and I wonder if you could remind people of the volume that some people are using inappropriately.
I thank Ms Hislop for that point of order. I have reminded the Chamber that I appreciate that emotions are running high. I would not single out one particular member, although I'm aware that he was shouting, so indeed were members on the government backbenches. I would please encourage everybody to treat those who are speaking with some respect. I would also encourage Sharon Dowey to move the microphone slightly closer to her. I think that will help as well. Sharon Dowey, I can give you a little bit more time, but you should start winding up now.
Thank you. So there are umpteen problems that need sorting, from the ferry scandal to the drug death crisis to the life-threatening issues in our NHS. But today, yet again, they focus parliamentary time on another divisive referendum. Normal, hard-working people will be appalled by the priorities of this SNP government. While our constituents go to work every day and put in a shift, SNP ministers keep wasting time talking about their obsession. Presiding officer, it's a new year. So for the resolutions, I urge Nicola Sturgeon and her allies to focus on what really matters. Make the crisis in our NHS the top priority, not another divisive referendum. Get back to the day job like everybody else in Scotland is doing. Thank you.